Yeah, hello. Thank you for registering and hitting the registration button for this course. And my name is Peterson, as I've told you earlier before. And this is a course that will be of use for you or to you in every of your project you develop out there. Because in every project, we'll need to always send mails to user, either for registration or maybe for newsletters and so many things out there. So right here we'll be learning about this just not basic. We have a very basic design here. We'll be learning about how to use PHPMailer to send mail the right way. There are a lot of tutorial out there, but I think this should be one of the best that you ever found on Udemy. So without delaying much of your time, this is our project folder. So I'll just go inside and explain to you what we have in there. So before we start, I want to load the page fully again, and then I just come here and explain some of our components that we'll be using. Okay, this is a Bootstrap website. It's a Bootstrap structure, and then we'll be using jQuery. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this very file here because we don't need that for now. Okay, so these are custom components. As you can see, this is a custom JavaScript and Ajax write-up. Okay, so here we just have some basic functions, and I call this some. There's some here which is basically these two that are bonus. Okay, you can see there's a function, and it says using the JavaScript callback function here, which is window.history.back. And whenever you call this function on an event, it will take you back. Maybe a click event on click, whatever event you're calling on, it will take you back to the last or previous page without having to reload the entire page. Okay, and here is a scroll to object. So I'm using collapse all. I'm using NetBeans. So scroll to object is a function, an additional function I added, and then whenever you call this function, you just call in an object, and then you select whatever you want to select. Okay, and then like this, since it's a jQuery, I can just select, assuming we have a class called DOM in our HTML DOM family, and then it will scroll to this element over here. So, and this callback is just some additional parameters that may need a function or whatever you want to call right there. Okay, and you do whatever you want to do here. I can say alert. Okay, so this is how you basically use the scroll to object function. I have to delete this, and then this tree is what I'll be explaining about in this very course now. So first of all, I'll come here, and here you can see this is open loader, disable input, and open Ajax loader. Okay, what this does is, let's go back to web browser, and I'm gonna open the console. Okay, assuming a user want to click on the send button, so after clicking, we want to bring out some object notation for the user to know that okay, you have actually hit this button, and you're waiting for a response from a server. So if we open a index structure, which is the HTML structure, you can see this is some basic write-up over here, some basic design, and here's a form element. So in here we have the button, and the button, you can see it has a span, which is a child element, and also an image element. So if I'm to remove the hidden class from the image, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see some cool loader here, loader effect. Okay, so these are some object notation to show the user that okay, you've actually pressed this button and waiting for some response from the server. Okay, so that is what we're doing here. And then it has some parameters, and here we said if disabled. So when calling this function in the disabled parameter, we're going to pass in a boolean attribute which is true or false, and then if true, then we want this code here to execute, and then else we want this code to execute. And then I'll explain the code. And here we have used the jQuery to select the parent.find submit, which is a class span, and then you see that here we gave the parent, which is the button, a class of submit. Okay, so find submit in the class of span. Find submit span, there's the span, and the other said find submit image, which is the loader here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, remove class hidden, and then change the text of the span, the context, and then X, then change the text of the span, and then add a class of hidden to the image. And then once you're done, then this parent, which is the parent that came, that found button select text area input, I found all of this, and then prop the disabled to disable. Then we want to make them disabled. Okay, so basically that is what here is talking about. And then I'll quickly explain this show response. Okay, this show response is what we'll be using to handle our callback results, how we're going to display it to the browser here for our users to see. So here we can see some additional element here, and this is a div. It has a class of check error and then some child element p. And here we can see what we did. We said it's gonna take the parent as well, which is the parameters, parent, message, and type. And here we said if type is success, then we want the parent dot find parent, whatever parent would give, of which is going to be the form, and found this class, find the class, remove alert danger. And this will only work if maybe there is a class with alert danger in it, and if there is not, it will it will always definitely execute this code but will not give back an error. Okay, then the found this error, remove class hidden, and then the parent p, change the HTML dot the parent back again, add class alert success. So same thing goes on with this s as well, the same thing, and then we add alert danger. We want to use this to handle the error, and here for the success message. So in this submit form data is we code here using Ajax, because we want to send to the browser, we want to send to the server, using Ajax, and also receive some data back using Ajax. Okay, so here we have some kind of very much of parameters here, and then you shouldn't bother about that. And here you can see the before. This is just a way of converting your parameters to a function base. So assuming we want to call this function right here, maybe we want to call the function, and then let's take for instance the before, which is here. Let's take for instance it is on the first parameter, and here, since we have already converted this into a function, then our code here will also be expecting a function. We cannot pass a normal parameter to it, and then this will throw an error and say this guy here, it is not a function. So what we need to do is to give a function here. Either you use the ex5 or ex6 function based type. Okay, so that's just basically how you convert some parameters to a function, and then when you calling it, then you will be needing to pass a function in that parameter space there. Okay, so here it is exactly what we've done here. So right now, for us to test this, I want to create a file, and then JavaScript file, and I call it home. Okay, so before then, okay, it's okay, let's call it home, and then this is what we're going to do. Okay, so just a moment. So I think, okay, I explained that very one because I don't want everything to get complicated right now. So once we start working with the form, I'm going to explain more about uh, everything here to you. Okay, so if you really enjoy this very first introduction about the course, then join me and let's dive deep into all our PHP uh, files and what we really did here. So okay, I'll wait for you to join me on our other course. Thank you. Okay, hello. Welcome back to this second edition of this course. Okay, right here we're going to be diving into PHP code and then having to take a look of what we're going to be learning or how we're going to be using those codes. So, okay, this is my project. So I want to quickly navigate in the browser to this file over here. So I'm going to go to modus and then we can choose a file. So first of all, I want to create a new file here for example. So I want to remove this and then this some actual code about a connection. So we're going to be coding everything from scratch and I'll make you understand what we actually did here. So first of all, what we're going to do here, I'll call this file is equal to, so I want to do something like this. Okay, so then I want to echo this file and save. I'm gonna refresh and go to that connection. Okay, so what this does is to actually locate the exact file, the location of this file using the server protocol type. And this you can see it is not the HTTP protocol type, which is like something like this. HTTP, as you can see at this bottom edge, okay, so it will actually locate this file where the file is situated. So what are we going to do with this file here? We want to automatically set the link of our entire project, the domain. We want it to be an absolute path, okay, instead of some relative path. Okay, so this is our file here, and what we want to do here, you can see here we have some backslash. So first of all, we want to convert that to front slash. Kind of say st arrow underscore replace, and then you can see search, replace, and subject. Okay, so what are we going to search for? We're going to search for backslash, and we'll replace with this front slash inside of this file. Okay, so we'll save this, and then when you go back, okay, so you can see we've actually replaced those. And then so we want to call this guy document root, and then want to use the super globus to get this, which is server document root. So same here. So with the server, we already have the document root type. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, then I'm going to say we're going to call this web roots, and then we're going to call this server roots. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is web roots equal to, want to replace again, and here what do we want to replace? Want to pass an array, and then this array is going to be, do we want to replace the document root command, and then we want to manually locate this file. Want to say modus slash this very file with r conn dot php. We want to replace this with nothing inside of this file. So I'm going to comment this out. I will throw some error, and then let's see what we have there. Okay, now you see that we have the absolute path to there's a link right here. We can start using this link to, okay, there's the path of the link. Okay, so these are absolute link. We already know that our server is going to be called either using localhost or some other IP addresses. Okay, so we can see where it's situated at. And here server root, we can just do the same thing, and then str underscore replace. I want to replace the models connection.php inside of, I think inside of the document root, if that is correct or no, I'm not sure. Okay, there's an error. It should be inside of that file. Okay, str replace expect 3 parameters. Okay, replace this with nothing inside of that guy. Okay, so here want to define and want to say web roots is equal to web roots, and then we want to say server roots is equal to the server roots, and then here we'll call it srv roots, which is our server roots, srv server roots. Okay, so I think srv should be for server and server. Okay, so we're basically done. Why I created this constant, because you know we can always use constant almost inside of anywhere in our PHP code. So I can just call this maybe echo. So here we can echo web roots. So now I want to call this function here, and then okay, line 15, I think I have some function. Okay, these some PHP function name that we cannot use again, sorry. Okay, so here you can see that we can actually use a constant inside of a function, so that is why I had put this inside of using some constants to hold those variables. Okay, so you can see there's the absolute path to server. Okay, there's a server server root. You can see it's to this part, and then here we have our link root, which is a domain link. Okay, so here actually what we're gonna do again now, I want to create a function and call it connection protocol. Okay, so this is not going to take any parameter, I guess. And here what I want to do is say if, I think my computer is a bit slow here, sorry for that. Okay, you can say if it sets, okay, so I'm going to use a super global if it sets server HTTPS. If the HTTPS is set, and also and server https is equal to, and I want to do something here. I want to say server is equal to https. So I'll remove the mouse there. https dot server http underscore host dot the web root. Okay, so what we're doing here is, once you connected to your server, as when you take all your file to the hosting a server online, and then when you dump this or echo this, if you using the HTTPS protocol, it's gonna be either on or some other null or false or empty variable. But once you're using the HTTPS protocol to access any server, it's gonna be on. So what we did here is, if it's on, then we've hard coded this because we only know that it's gonna be HTTPS link, and then S, then the server is equal to HTTP, and then we just copy the same thing over here, and then here I want to return the server. So let's do this and see what we have here. So I would like to echo that and save. Okay, so you see that we have HTTP localhost this. So there's one other thing that I want to show you. Don't know if you've noticed that already. You can be able to use your mobile phone to connect your website and browse your website once you're on localhost. So you just window arrow to open this command center, and you type cmd. I'm using Windows. Okay, and here you type just ipconfig and hit enter. Then you scroll down and look for your IP4 address, and this is it, 192. So I'm going to type 192. Okay, and then I think this is 5. Okay, so here it is, and send. Okay. Okay, so I want to go to modus, and then I go to connection, which is the file we have. Okay, so you can see that this file, the link just changed now to from localhost. Here's localhost, and here's, so you can see that basically you can be able to access, but you can only use your mobile device to access your website through this IP. You cannot use localhost because this machine, the server, is not installed on your mobile, only your PC. Okay, so let's just quickly finish what we have here to wrap everything up. Okay, so what I want to do here, as you can see, it has a last slash here, so I want to remove that slash. Like for me, I want to remove the slash and always use it by myself in case I need it. So here I want to say return st arrow, the substring of this server -1, so it will always return from the very last end of it. And then if the -1 is equal to slash, and then I want to return right trim. The right trim, you can see it removes white space or any character from the right side, from the end part of it. So if it does not find that character, then it will just ignore it. So okay, so I'm gonna go back, I think, to know how I use this right trim again. Okay, okay, there's a string, and then the mask. Okay, right, string this, comma, slash. So if this substring -1 is equals to this, and then when we return the right trim of this, and then s, I want to return the server just as it is. Here we have a slash, and then when you refresh, it has removed the slash because it actually found it. I wish we had put something else here, and then okay, it actually removed all the characters that there is there. Oh, I've not used it that way. Okay, so let's just leave it like this, but I wish here is not equals to that, and then it will leave the character because it was unable to find it. Here was not executed, but rather it returned this. Okay, okay, so we're done with basically everything, and whatever I want to do now is I want to call global domain. Why I'm doing this is, instead of using echoing this long function, and you know, when we have some strings like this, we can be able to pass a function inside of a string. We can be able to pass a variable, but we can be able to pass a function inside of a string. Okay, the other way we can pass a function just like that is to like something like this, and then you can be able to pass a function inside of it. Okay, so I call here global domain, and then I can now say domain is set to this, and there's a reason I did this. It's simple because when we create another function, for instance, get dm, get domain, and then here we can say just echo domain, and you know, we cannot access this domain because it is not a constant from inside our function. And then when I call get dm and try to echo it, and you see undefined variable domain, we can access the domain. But right here, what I can do now is I can say global domain, so it will go up to the global scope of all our code and look for this domain here, and then that is it. And okay, so you can see it's always the same thing here. We have not really assigned the domain to anything or none, but calling this global on a domain, then it will try to go up and look for any variable that has this name, and then if it does not find it, then it just echo the domain just like that. And then if we add for dump this domain to see what the value actually looks like, and you see that the value is none because the domain does not have any value yet. Okay, so this is it. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I just want you to understand the concept of everything, not actually wasting your time. And then here, even though we had removed that global, and then it will also be able to locate the global variable, you can see. But the reason I put this is, once we call in a file inside of a folder and inside of another folder, and then this domain will not be accessible anymore whenever you use the global. But if you use global here and then you call it, even though it's inside of another like 10 folders, and use this global, then it will be able to locate this other global here, and then assign any value to whatever variable you have there. So I just hope you get the concept, or grab the concept of whatever we've just done here. So with this, we already have our absolute link, and then some server root link that we can be able to use to include all our files, and then some web constant as well. Okay, so that's actually what we had done here, as you can see. And then there's the constant server, the same thing. And then okay, this is just some section in error handler. There's a more convenient way for you to do this. So without wasting your time, I'll just copy this into here and make you understand how we use it. Okay, so you see, for instance, I'm gonna make some error. Okay, and then let's echo domain and then X, and you see this is an error, undefined variable domain. Okay, then let's call this function here, and then the first one was section. We want to set session to false because we don't need a session, and then we want to set the error report to false as well. Okay, so we set the error report to false, meaning we do not want error report. And this is a good way if you're taking your code to a live server. You want to set the error report to false, and then automatically you need to handle in this place to handle whenever your error or whenever your website have an error, being able to trace all errors that you have, send them back to yourself, send the response to a file, or do whatever you want to do. And here, if we set to true, that means we're still under development and we want all our error codes to show to us. We want a PHP file to handle them. Okay, so this is basically what we had just done here. And then I'm going to delete this file because we already have it called connection.php. And then in our next tutorial, we'll be able to learn more about the rest of the code here. Okay, so I think it's not deleting. Okay, thank you for watching, and then I'll see you in the next. Yo, hello, welcome back again. And once we're still on our very project, send a mail using PHPMailer. So here we want to quickly dive into the other files. And then the last project was our connection file, and then there's the main connection. I already deleted the other one. Okay, this is just another global with site name. So we're done here, and then I want to dive into error handlers, and then these are provide a response, a reference, to what I actually did here using the ampersand before the parameter name. Okay, for these to, in order, just like there's a PHP, there's an array. So whenever it's calling itself, it should always reference, or there's a way I would explain this, but I think I'll have to use this and give a lot of example for you to understand, or for me to be able to explain this. But I'll provide a reference to some links that really explain whatever I did here. Okay, and we're not going to be using this, I'm not sure for now, since we only checking for an empty variable. Okay, here is a function for our JSON. Okay, this will handle our JSON file, and this is very easy, as you can see, because we already have JSON underscore encode here. And then what I just did here is to pass an associative array. Okay, so you can see this is an associative array, and then I call this response, and then I say is with the response variable that came as a parameter, and then I call the second one message, and give it the same message that came through this variable here, and there's the response. So okay, basically maybe this is how I would have put it. Okay, this was not a array, I think. Okay, it's an array now. Okay, this was how I would have arranged it for you to see or understand, but I just feel it's just the same, since we already have all this in one single line and the code is not too bulky. So I think it's much neater that way. And then this is what I did here. This is obstat and then obflush. What these two functions that I created does is I'll also provide a reference to whatever this does. Obstat is just like when you set a timer and then you say sleep 3 seconds, and what this does is the timer will actually wait for 3 seconds for a code to execute, and then it's just the same thing as what this obstat and obflush does. And this stat will start this year we start the set the time limit to 0 and ignore user about. It will ignore you to a kind of wait for 3 seconds internally within the this PHP script. Okay, and then this flush, what this does, you're going to understand when we start sending our mail. Okay, when you send a mail and you did not use this to function, what is going to happen is when the user click this button, this script will actually wait for the mail to send successfully to our email here before the user can be able to navigate through our website and do whatever they want to do. But when you call this function, and then it can be able to ignore whatever the user do, even though the user close the browser, as long as the script has already been executed, it will ignore all that the user does. It will ignore closing of the browser, it will ignore whatever code you put after the flush. That means even though your computer is off, as long as you've click or execute a code, then every other code within that scope, within that time, will definitely be successful. So there's what it does. That's why we start the OB before any echo is when you start this guy here, obstat. You call this function before you echo, and then you call the flush just after you echo. Okay, so that's how we use them, and I also provide a link or reference to where you get this. Actually, just a moment. I think this you should get these in okay, under the PHP manual. Okay, the link is not there, but you know, when you go to PHP manual, I'll provide a link as well. That's what we just did here. And here you should know PHP version is used to call PHP version. So I just created a very little function name that I'll remember always. Okay, another function, we have our send mail function. As you can see, you know, in the connection we already have server root, so I do not want to manually add code include the path of all these files, because these are the 3 files we need for send a mail using PHPMailer. And it is here under SMTP folder we have the exception, PHPMailer, and SMTP. Those are the 3 files we need for PHPMailer. And here I've included this file using the server path, because when you use the link, which is the root path, web root, PHP does not allow including files using this HTTP protocol. Okay, so it only allow include this file using the server protocol. So that's why we use the server. So when this file is being called, or this function is being called in thousands of folders inside of another folder, it will always execute or locate this path, because this is an absolute path. Okay, so this is exactly how you call, or your PHPMailer is a class using this new keyword here, and then all those settings. Here is SMTP authentication is true, and then you set your username, password, and host. Okay, and then you can create this in your cPanel, and then from this email and from name, and the subject is what we want to pass in, and message, and so those are the 3 parameters that it needs and nothing else. And then here we have our init function. What I did here, init, is whenever we load our site, this init function, whatever we have, is going to be called automatically, using the immediately invoked function, just as we have as in JS, which is JavaScript. We also have this in PHP. The if it's if I can still remember, it's been called like this in JS. Okay, this I will call if, I think, just something like this. So, and then I'm using PHP 5 version here, and then I had called this a function used to call if. So this function executes automatically all the codes you put in here. So call user function, and then you pass in a function without a name inside of it. Okay, so these are on if here, and it executes this OGA. And here is our Ajax file configuration, and then this Ajax we had put our stack here .php, and then our response code, and then here we want to echo the script. Okay, so if we have a file here of which I can just navigate to this place, I navigate to init, and then let's call Ajax config. Okay, so if we reload, we're not gonna see anything because we don't have any HTML elements here, and also the JavaScript files or JavaScript path would not always display for our user to see. So we can check this using the view page, and then you see there's a script tag, and then we have the domain, we have everything we have. So this is going to be the domain path, the absolute link, and then this is the handler to controllers. Okay, so let me delete this for now. There's a controller, and whatever files that we have, like when user want to log in and register and send mail, we can always pack them inside our controllers. Okay, just like a MVC pattern. Okay, so we're done with everything we need to know, and then in our next class we're gonna dive in and start sending emails. Okay, so those are the files we're gonna be using in our next file, and then understand how really send mail now. So I'd like you to join me in our next class. Hello, welcome once again to this wonderful course. And then here, this is actually what we're gonna be doing now. And then there's a file we created before when we newly started. I'm gonna delete a lot of things from here. Okay, so we have a blank page without much of a thing. So right here we had included the env file. Okay, let me quickly just show you what we did in our env file. Okay, this is the only file that we'll be including in all our projects, and then inside the file I've included all the other file we need, and then you can see we include the connection, which is the first file, and then we included this just in a relative way, and then the rest file we have included using the server root, because in our connection that is actually where we have the constant, so it had to be on top of all the other files. Okay, so here we had included this file here, and then we had called our function here, which is Ajax configuration. And then so I'm gonna close this, and then come here, and then when you view page source, and then this is our script tag for Ajax, and then you can see the link, and then we have two files here. So I'm gonna go back and also view page source, so you can see the links are different, and whatever link you're using to access them it will automatically find and place the path there. If we had coded this our link using the local host, and you can see here we won't be able to access using this on this server, as we had to change our link manually to this server before we can access it using this server address. Okay, so that's the best part of what you've learned of this project. Okay, so we want to go ahead and start coding. So whatever we want to do, so these are file here, and then let's create some handlers here. Okay, so here you can see that this form we have some attribute that is missing, which is, we always call it method, and then method you can say post, or method you can say get. So let's use the post now and refresh this page, and then when you click you see that it has already posted, and then you can see it here. So method, we use the get, we'll refresh, and then it's a get, it posts using the get now. So we don't actually need this because since we're going to be using we already going to be using this form handler here, which is already Ajax, and the Ajax we have instructed to always use post, so we know that all our form are going to come using send using a post method. So here what we're going to do is to call the onSubmit function directly on the form. We don't want to call it on this button on click, no, on submit, and when this form is submit is when this button is clicked. So on submit we want to return any function. So I'll call this function send mail is a function, and I want to pass this into it. Okay, so this is send mail, so we want to create this function now. I'm say function send mail, and then we passed some variable inside of it, and then want to say form, and here let's console.log the form. Something's gonna happen here, so let's actually refresh this page, open up our console, and then click submit. See, it actually submitted, but it still behaving the normal way a form should behave, and it is reloading. So how we can stop this, I can just say return first, and then I'll refresh this page and click submit. Okay, you see that we really pass this, which means this very element we click on, this, so it will always come even though we click this 10 times. That very time we'll click it, and to know if this work, I can say detective and then 45. So we're not gonna see it right here, I think. Okay, so let me quickly convert this to a jQuery format. Let me call it other values. So here I can say variable param is equal to a form, and then let's serialize it. Serialize, which is a function. There's a built-in jQuery function, and then here we can call that guy here, and then let's refresh again, and then this. Okay, we can see 45, and then SSS 45 SSS D. Okay, so we're done here, and at which we did not pass any parameter there, and the same thing will happen here. You can see we're receiving some empty data. Okay, so you always pass this, which means this entire form you had submitted. We're returning this entire form, and then we use the serialize to serialize whatever we want to do. So actually that is what we did here. Variable param, we serialize it to get all the variables. Okay, so I will show you how we use it now. So right here, this is what we're going to do. Just copy this entire file or entire form, and then here we want to return this form. And here we can see we already did return first here, so nothing is gonna happen again. So this is the form we had collected, and this is the button test, this is the file, and then want to create a file inside our controllers as I told you before. And in this file we can call it send mail. Okay, here, so want to say go to send mail, and then normal is true. Before we can pass a function in before, and then this after is when return value is success. When Ajax is success, what we want to do here, so we can say success, or when success, when successful, think so, or just when success. Okay, these are messages as well. Then error messages, and these are debug code, and then we'll say debugger, oh, if I'm correct, and then scroll, you can pass a function. This function will return true, but here we want to pass false. Okay, actually this is all we need. Okay, so in our debugger here we say debugger, so it's a function and it expects something which is results, so we can use whatever to collect that there, and console.log it e. Okay, so we'll refresh again, and then we click, so it's gonna tell you reference error btn test is not defined. Okay, so here I always like to create a variable, and I call it send is equal to sending, just something like that. So call it send text. Okay, so I refresh and then click. You can see JSON.packs end of data. So there's some error, and this error is not coming from here but coming from here because it's not receiving anything at all. So here I want to say include once, and then want to locate our file. Okay, so want to locate a file, don't know why it's getting slow now. Models, and as I told you, this is the only file we need here, env file. Okay, so right now I think we're done here because of our time. Don't want every course to be very much longer. So in our next course we're gonna actually code this entire page to send data back to our Ajax. So here I can just say echo JSON, and then I can say response warning, and then I can pass some data hello, and then when I click here, here's the response hello. So we have a response back, and then here we can see send and then e. That should not be happening. A moment while we quickly fix that. Console.log fix in our debugger. Okay, so while we quickly fix that, I'm gonna see what we have here. Okay, I think that was the error we have there. Okay, sending, you can see the sending now. So in our next class we're actually gonna code this place, and I'll show you how you handle your form data, or how you collect them in a very more advanced way. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next class. Yeah, hello, welcome once again to this very course, and I hope you've been learning a lot and enjoying what we have been learning together since the beginning of this course. Okay, here we're actually going to be coding how we're going to receive from data from this place. So here one can just say, since we expecting move this file here, since we're expecting the just two input, which is name, email and message, we can just say email this. Well, here I can, let me show you this. I can say send is equal to new xtd class. Okay, this is a new object class. Okay, and then if we can echo JSON, and I can say one and send. Okay, so if I should click this, you see this is an object, as you can see. Okay, and then we can say name equal to Peter, which is my name, and then click and you see Peter. Okay, so you didn't need to understand everything that I'm doing here right now, so we're going to explain more better. So you can either call the class like this or add this to the class and even a backslash. So they're all the same thing. Even though you do not add a backslash or add this, it's always going to be the same thing. Okay, so here I want to say send, which is an object, now a class, and then I want to say filter input. Yes, I think filter input. Okay, why always getting slower? Sorry. So here is a type. I just wanted to show you that, which is input post, because we're using the post method, and then the variable is for the name. This should be the first one is email. Sorry, the variable for the email is email as the name, and then here I want to say filter validate email, and then just copy this and call this message post, and the name is also message that is coming, and here will be filter sanitize string, and then here I want to say error array, because we want to use an array to handle our error. So what I'm going to do now is if, I don't know why this if is always hanging. Why? I don't have a lot of files on my PC. Okay, so if send email is first, and then on array push, arrow push, then the array, which is error array, comma, and then whatever I want to say place a valid email address, and then else if the send message is empty, and then I want to do the same array push, and then the error array and our message, please enter some content messages. I think some content messages or message. Okay, some content message. Okay, here I want to say if count, because we can always use count for the array. Okay, if count error array, if this guy is equal to 0, and then want to do something here, and s want to do something here, s want to echo JSON, and then here want to say response. This should be response warning, which is okay 1, and then I want to implode, since it's an array, I want to implode error array with error array with something, so I want to split that with a break. Okay, so actually this is everything we need here. Okay, so I'm gonna save this and then let's try this again. You can see a message here, debug error, and then here if we have some error, let me give some error here, so you can see our error will be very neat and easily read. We can easily read this. Is that notice undefined variable error hours in this on line 26. So that's the very first one. So this is line 26, and then once we can be able to rectify that, can just click again and everything is working properly. Okay, so if I had not done this if x, I can just add if here and then click, and you see that both message will come at once. Please enter a valid email address, break, please enter some content message. So what I normally do here, either had by always had coding this 000, and imagine we have 10,000 to file. That means will be have coded if 0, if 0, if 0. And what if you want to change that tomorrow? So do not assume your code that it would not change some kind of things. So that is why we always want to make something more realistic, like automatically. Okay, that's why we always read our code. So in our init file we have error response, so we can just call this if it's equal to error response instead of saying if equal to 0. Okay, so I think that is more better. Okay, the same thing. So right now what we want to do is we want to actually send this code to be displayed here instead of the console. So here what we're going to do is, okay, when success, when error. So here we have some code in collecting our file. So I'm just gonna close this, which is show response. So I collected that and I want to paste that. Just show response. We have our parent here, and the parent is this, the same parent that came from, and then the message, we can see that here we said here is the message, and here we had used some functions to collect the message, because here's the message is a function, and the function expects two data, which is a message and type. So here I will just put message and type, and here I can put the message M and T. Okay, so that's all we just need for that, and we'll load the page, and then here you can say please enter a valid email address, please enter some text, some content message. So everything is done, and then let's actually send a message. So here we're gonna actually for success as well, we still have message and type, the same thing. So just put message and type. Okay, so here I want to send a mail to myself, and then hello, just text function. Okay, let's send. We have error, not working. Okay, basically we have an error because now it's coming to this place and then we have not set anything yet. Okay, so here we just echo this guy and call this Sussex, and then here I can say yo, can use the message was sent successfully. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this a bit up and then click. Your message has been sent successfully. Here is not loading. That should be loading because the response here. Okay, just a moment while I check our code and if success after. Okay, so if the show response is success, this is what should happen here. Okay, so echo JSON message sent successfully. So here we had not actually refreshed this ever since, so I want to do a proper refresh now and everything should be working here. So you can see your message has been sent successfully. Okay, please enter some contact messages. Okay, so let's quickly fix this. You can see it's showing sending. So actually what we're going to do here is to, this is the place, let's minimize that, and here this is the button test, and we can see we only pass one button test here. So before sending request to our Ajax and after sending request is always going to be one text. So we can actually convert this to an array and say we need the first one before sending and then we need the second one after sending, and here we'll expect an array as well, so we can pass in an array and then, you know, add this to guy here. So whatever I want to do here is, let's just create another variable, the send text and sending text, sending, and then here we said, you can see send. Okay, we have send text and sending text. Okay, so the very first one should be sending text with sending text, and then when it's done it should output the send text. So let's refresh this and then click. It is very fast, so the only way you can see this is to actually sleep our code. Okay, so here, okay, so sorry, so here I want to sleep our code for 3 seconds in order for us to see what is happening there. Okay, so here you can see sending, send. So you need to always sleep your code in a place like this for you to even see how the effects work, how the test works, just in case you usually have a bad internet connection or very poor internet connection that is not fast as your own. So do not assume everyone have the same internet connection as yours. Okay, so we're done with everything, and in our next section we're all gonna be coding this place, do something, and we use the ob flush and ob stat. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll meet you in the next class. Hi. Okay, you're welcome once back again, and then this is where we stop in the last section of this class. So I don't think we'll be needing this file again because we already have everything we need and we're done. So I can close the components file, and then here we actually gonna code something. So what I want to do here is, first of all, I want to send email is equal to, I want to trim. You know what trim does is remove the white space from the beginning and end of a string or of any data that comes in. So it does not remove from the middle, just the beginning and end. And email would not want some kind of empty string. So I'm going to say send email. So let's trim that and give back to it as well. So here I want to say ob stats, which is a function. ob stat, yes. And then okay, I'm done here. And here what I want to say is send mail. So you can see we have subject, message, and tool. And then in our init function, you know, we created some things, and then these are constant, which is accessible anywhere. And then that's the subject and message. You say just testing for PHP services. And then tool is to send email. Okay, and then you know we actually echo here. After sending we echo, or we can echo and send our mail, which is better, right? So here I want to okay, oh sorry, this is our subject, the message, and the message is already coming. The message is already coming, which is here, so I can just delete that and paste here. Okay, so and click send. Okay, you see that I had actually put the echo first and the send at the second, but here's what is happening. We've already executed the code, and then it will always wait for this mail to send, receive data, before actually echoing something to us back. So we just have to wait. This is what our user is going to see. They will wait for as long as this code is going to run before actually returning sent successful. Okay, so now we receive our code, our email, which is super fast in our inbox. And why this happened is because we're using we're using the PHPMailer, okay, and we're using the SMTP connection type, which is this. Okay, so we should always have this in our inbox because there is no link attached to it again also. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this, and then let's make some custom some neat template. So here we already have something called image temp, and then image temp. So before that, I'm gonna call this again. You know, I said after the echo you just do your ob flush. Okay, let's try this again and see what happens. You don't need to reload this because we're not doing anything in our interface. We've not changed the interface, so just the PHP. So I'll click this again, and then 3 seconds it should send back our request. So because of this 3 seconds is actually this sleep that I added here. So we're not waiting for the email to send successfully before outputting the data to us. So this is a good way to use the ob flush and ob stat. Okay, here we can click. We're still waiting for the email. Maybe we have this in our spam or inbox, but it should be in our inbox just in a few seconds from now. Okay, still waiting. Okay, we received that now. Course completed. Okay, so we already know how and what the ob flush and ob stat does in our code. That's a very handy and nice function call. Okay, so here we're gonna actually structure our templates very well in our next uh, tutorial. We're gonna structure how to use this templates and then send an email in a very nice format, because we already handled the HTML aspect of it before. Okay, so I'll meet you in the next section, and then if you enjoy this, you can join me in that very one. Thank you. Yes, hello, welcome back again. And then here's where we got stopped in our last section or discuss. So what I'm going to do now is to quickly copy this guy here for you to see our design, and then I'll open my developer tool, which is Pinecone. I love using this. So I want to quickly create a new file, and then I want to copy this here. Okay, so you can see our design. This is our design and how it looks. Okay, here you can always inspect all. Okay, so I want to close that guy now, quit. So what you actually do here is, after you create your design using any developer kit or tool, then you have to convert your styling to inline CSS. So you cannot use external CSS when sending, or if you want to use an email template, it has to be internal or inline, sorry, it has to be inline CSS or a CSS code. So this is exactly what we do. So after designing it, you just convert to inline CSS. There are tons of free inline CSS out there. Just type on Google inline CSS converter and you'll see them there. So simple. So what we do here is actually we use this if statement to block our code execution. And then imagine, sorry for that, my phone alerts, I thought it was on silent. And then imagine if we had not put this if to block these codes that are here, and then all the old templates code will run at a time. And if there is, and you know, we're sending, let me do this. So after flush, we're gonna include underscore once. I was just left included them once. So I'm gonna go here, go to models, email template, and temp. Okay, so imagine we have some variables here that are not listed in this page, and then without using this if statement, all the entire code is going to execute, and then once it throws an error, the mail is not going to send. Okay, so here we said if mail type is send mail, so it is expecting for this variable to come in order for everything here to execute. So here we want to say mail type is equal to send mail for that template to execute, and here this email template is equal to this full content here. So the subject now, this is the subject and this is the message. The message will now be that entire template, HTML template we have. Okay, and send it to this mail. So here I want to say email ID is equal to this send email. Okay, that was the email ID. And then, you know, when a link is now involved in when a link is being involved in your file, for you to have them being placed on inbox always, you can always use convert them to uppercase. It's the arrow string to upper, and then just paste that there. So this is a very handy way to make all your email codes delivered to your inbox, users inbox. Okay, so this is, we have the domain, and the message, this link email ID, and then I can just create another break here, and then another paragraph here, and here I just put message. It was the send message. Okay, so we're basically done with everything we've been learning for so far, and then here I want to test the email one more time and see what we really have. And then here I just love to put it sleep so that we can see that nice cool effect before sending. Okay, so here I just love to do this, and then I can make it if s. I think it's more better that way. Okay, so there's it. Error checker, just error check. Okay, do something, and then okay, just some nice clean piece of code. And then here, since we don't need the message again, I could just remove the console log. Okay, so we're actually done with our project. I close that, I close this, and then we can reload if you want to. Let me copy that, let me reload this, and then to email address and a message, and I'll click send. Okay, so a message will come in a bit, and then when this is not there, you have please enter some contact message, and then please enter valid email address. So while waiting for a mail, we can always do something else. Okay, so let's check for a mail and see if we have codes already here. You just delete this before the mail come. Okay, I don't think we're receiving any mail. Let's check our code again and see what we've done here. Okay, the mail type is send mail, mail type and email. Okay, include, oh sorry. Okay, so before we include that guy, then this was the mail type, send mail, and then once we include in, the send mail is already above this file here, so you can receive it, and before it was under, just as if this mail type was under here. So here is already send mail, and we have redefined it here, so it's not gonna locate it, if you understand. So here we're gonna try again, and then you just do this and then do this, try to send again. Okay, so wait for a few seconds now to receive our email. It will actually come just a few seconds, and then we should have our email inside of it. Cannot come, it should always be inside our inbox now. Okay, now we have our mail sent, and in a nice looking format. This was the message, just testing for PHP mailers, and these are our links here. When you click Udemy tutor, and then when you click this, since we had put this as a link, okay, it will try to, so I think there's a way you can convert this link to open as email ID, which is very simple. It is mail to, and then that, so that will open as an email address instead of opening as a link. And here we can say target equal to underscore blank, and so we're going to test the mail one more time. and then let's see what happened. We're actually done now, so I think this should be the very last class. Okay, so we should wait for a mail. Should be here in any time, in any moment from now. Just refresh. Why delaying? I think the delay is coming from my server. Okay, so we have this email one more time, and then when I click here, it should open in the mail. Okay, so and then when I click here, it should always go to a normal destination, and then here open the mail. Just simple. I can delete this, guys. Okay, so thank you for watching, and maybe if we have another course, and I might have some just few knowledge to share with you in our next video. And thank you for getting far to this point and joining me in learning this little project together, and I'll meet you in the next section. Hello, thank you guys for really joining me on this course and for having this little knowledge you've learned with me through the entire course. And then just some little advice that I have for all developers. And before I start, please, and when you after developing all your code, when you're going into live, and it is advisable to always just switch off the sleep mode, and you can just create a function that you call true, and then whenever you set that function on, it should automatically set the sleep mode to like 2 seconds and 1 second, just something like that, so that if you have like a lot of files inside these controllers that handles all your controls, and then you can be able to just set one function in all, and then you can call it inside your env file, just as I call this section here, and then it will handle all the sleep mode to true or false before you go live, before you actually upload into server. So I have comment this out for you as well. Okay, so sometimes there are some code that I must have forgotten. It is not bad or a shame to go to Google and start typing like something like std class to have hints about them. Believe me, there are tons of millions of codes, PHP codes, that you've not even come across because you've not developed the kind of project that requires that kind of code before. So when you come across that project, then it is good for you to always, when you have a code in your hand, you always try to know how exactly that code works before you can truly call yourself a developer. Okay, and these are some reference to cool codes out there. The Victory School, and then you can always just come here and then look for any query you're looking for, and there we still have Stack Overflow and so many of them. So do not be ashamed to ask questions, and your fellow developer will assist you, and do not be ashamed to learn and exercise in what you've already learned. That is the only way you can be able to perfect on your skills and to know more. So thank you for joining me on this course, and I hope I'm giving some other course that will be added soon on a custom automatic login system. Okay, so do not forget to use the comment section, and I'll try my best to always be there for you to answer all of your response in time. Okay, thank you for this great journey you've joined me in, and then you do have a nice day and learn well.